Okay, I'm going to start off by saying that my speech is specific to the audience that I'm going to be giving it to. So I'm trying to persuade the owner of the restaurant I work at, which is the Buffalo in Fort Madison, to give me a college scholarship and to open a scholarship fund through his business, through his small business. So if there's like specific like names in there, and then I'm talking to those people specifically, but I'll try to point those out so it doesn't get confusing. Okay, so some of you may know why I'm here, and the rest of you are probably hoping this doesn't take up too much of your time. My hope is that by the end of this, you feel prompted to invest in me and the future generations, one small step at a time. I know you all fairly well, but I'll just give you some details as a reminder. My name is Jasmine or Jazz, and I go to the high school here in Burlington. I've worked under all of you at least once between Cole House and Buffalo 61 for the last year and a half. As a senior, slowly approaching graduation and working on college stuff, I've been trying to find my best bet at paying for it. When looking through scholarships, grants, and loans, I realized it's a lot more difficult than it's made out to be. This leads me to a risky but very persuadable idea, and then my first slide will go after this. I feel as though something that would be beneficial to you, your employees, and the community for the Buffalo franchise is to develop a college scholarship fund for employees. I'll start off with the basis of why you should start a scholarship fund for high school seniors who eventually be leaving for college. Then I'll move on to my second slide that talks about why you don't see it often. So you don't see it often in small businesses, only in corporations. You would be one of the first to do it in our area, so it would get you a lot of recognition and boost your image. It would be shared over social medias and possibly in like newspapers on Facebook, so a lot of people see it, so people see that you're doing good for the community, and it'll do well for your business and the people who look up to you. Then the second reason is I was one of the first people you took a trance on, and the trend has continued. So the longer I work for you, the more I see the employee dynamic change. We have a lot more people under the age of 18 working for you than when I first started, and those proved to be more loyal and hardworking and dependable employees. Then I'll move to my third slide. The new generation has proven to be more dependable. Siobhan, who is my current manager, said in quotations, a Friday night where everyone in the front of the house was under 18, excluding Callista, but she's a young adult, she's our bartender, was one of the smoothest nights I've seen since I've been here. If this is true, then that's the kind of workers you're going to want to continue bringing in and develop an incentive for your and develop an incentive that would help bring people in. The possibility of gaining something to benefit you from your future, your workplace, will also ensure that the people who are there are working hard and want to be there. It's important for local businesses to invest in future generations. I say this because the student that helped you get their education might be your doctor one day. Then I'll move on to my fourth slide. That talks about that says like if you don't do it, who will? So people make it sound like there's so much money out there for college, but if you really break it down, it becomes quite impossible to pay for it without taking out a loan. The majority of scholarships are national, so you could possibly be up against almost every senior in America, so the odds are not in your favor. State scholarships give you a smaller oh, it went too far. State scholarships give you a smaller pool of people, but that's still approximately 35,000 high school seniors that you could be going up against for one scholarship, according to demographic research done by the Iowa Department of Education. Then, when you get your last option of local scholarships that you have a higher chance of receiving, the amount that they offer, while anything is better than nothing, is barely enough to make an indent on college costs. Local scholarships they offer around this area tend to be anywhere from $250 to $2,500, and they also look to see what other scholarships you've gotten to determine whether you get another one, so that makes it hard to stack up or to get a large amount. If you want to attend a university in our state, that has an attendance cost average of $25,000 per year. Then local scholarships don't get you very far. And then moving on to my fifth slide, it'll have like the facts that I'm about to list and then where they came from. So it'll like say that doesn't take into account all the scholarships and grants that are school specific, field specific, grade specific, and go off your financial status. In an article written on savingforcollege.com, they found that only 1 in 8 students qualify for just one scholarship, and only a mere 18.8% of students win enough money to cover just half of their costs. All of this shows that the long list of opportunities people say graduating seniors have to get money for scholarships is shorter than everyone. Now that we've established why it's important for you as a small business owner to develop a scholarship and invest in your local new generation, I'm going to move on to why the Buffalo should have created a scholarship fund. Now I have to go into detail why I am well deserving of a scholarship from you, the owner, and the franchise itself. Then I'll move to my seventh slide that has my academic achievement. They will have a copy of my transcript as I'm giving this speech. I'll direct them to that. It'll say I have maintained a 3.5 GPA and a 13.5 weighted GPA in my 4 years. I'm ranked 12th in my class out of 254. I have accumulated about however many credits I'll have when I'm giving this speech. It's probably about 40 something credits, and by the time I graduate, I'll have 15 college credits, which is 5 classes. Then my 8th slide will go on to my high school involvement in my community service, and they're going to have a copy of a paper that says all my activities in high school, how long I was involved in, and everything like that. So that'll be with them as well as I'm giving my speech. And I'll say, like, if you look in the packet, you can see what I've been involved in high school and how long, as well as the positions I've held in those groups. I've been able to partake in the rebuilding of a program called Minority Scholars, and that has been to represent the underrepresented at our high school. So we've taken kids who tend to not get the opportunities other kids have or to not be involved, and we've exposed them to different cultures, colleges, and opportunities after high school. It's been a really good program so far, and I'm glad I got to play a big part in it. Through the various volunteer activities, I racked up 600 plus volunteer hours. I volunteered for nursing homes, reading elementary kids, food pantries, Salvation Army, the Special Needs Foundation, concession stands, etc. Then I'll move on to my ninth slide, what I would do with the money and how it would benefit. So that's what it'll say on it. And then it'll say I plan to attend the University of Northern Iowa in the fall to major in math teaching. That's the best school in our state for my field that I'm going into. It's really known, and I could get a good job after going from that school once I graduate. When the reason I want to be a teacher is because throughout my like middle school years, elementary, even going into high school, I felt like the most important place and the safest place for me was school. So when I felt like I had nobody, I felt like the people who cared about me was my teachers, and they truly were important to forming who I am today, and I want to be that person for other people. I would benefit from a scholarship because the field I'm going into would definitely be, no, everybody knows teachers don't get that much, so it would definitely be difficult to pay off a loan with my salary, and that'll go into what I was talking about, where it's hard to gain the money. My time, and then my 10th slide will be my time working near him, why it should be him that gives it to me. I started off as a host in Cole House, and you've allowed me to move up as a waitress and bartender when I turned 18, and I proved that you made the right decision. I can definitely say that I'm a reliable employee who people can count on to get my job done to the best of my ability. I limit mistakes and prove time and time again that I could adequately do my job. I've shown that I'm more mature and have a better work ethic and can handle situations better than a decent amount of adults. I've made it through 7 managers, a COVID layoff period, a restaurant change, and God knows how many tears for my coworkers leaving me, and I still proved to come through strong and loyal to your franchise. I feel the most important thing that I brought to the workplace is my positivity. I try to always keep a smile on my face and not let other people's bad energy affect me. It's super important. It's super important because when everything crashes and burns, the last thing we need is negative energy. Another skill I have found to be key is that in stressful situations, when others struggle to stay cool and collected, I'm able to keep my focus and not break down. Patience and tranquility are never easy, and I've progressed immensely in that area. Then my 11th slide, I'll go on to say how he would benefit from giving me a scholarship, which would be the recognition and image I talked about earlier. And you'll get the satisfaction of knowing that you invested in somebody's future who could possibly be teaching your kids 4 years from now. And I will promise to come back and work for you during summers and semester breaks. If you do caterings up in my area, I can always help out with those as well. And then my last slide will go into detail about the cost of attendance for my school and why, if he decides this is something that he wants to do, then I won't give him a specific amount for a scholarship, but I'll give him the data of the cost of my school and where I stand financially and let him decide from there. And as I mentioned before, everything helps. My ultimate goal is to be able to go into my freshman year without having to take out a loan. The UNI cost of attendance is $9,053 for tuition and fees, $9,160 for tuition and board, which for direct cost in total is $18,213. Even if I can pay for school, that number doesn't take into account the money that I will need to live in general while being at college, transportation, books, food off campus, dorm supplies, outside activities. I've gone through and done the math based on other people's time spent in college, and I estimate about $5,000 for that during the year itself. Between FAFSA and scholarships they've given to me already by the college itself, I have $11,000. So I will need to somehow come up with the rest of the money. So it just depends on what you would like to offer me. That's where I will leave the presentation off at. That was a lot of information to take in, but as you can see, my future is something that I'm very passionate about. An idea where two parties can benefit, I'm all for. Through this scholarship fund, you are not only establishing a business who have shown good values that supports its community, but you're also helping one of your younger employees start the next steps of their life. Then my last slide will say, I hope this is something that you take into consideration, and thank you for listening. Basically just a little thanks, like in a presentation thing. And yeah, that's all. This is really long. It's 12 minutes, but I also had to keep stopping to tell you stuff, so it won't actually be that when I go through and just give it and just don't stop and tell you where slides are and whatnot. So yeah.